Back to my channel. It's me, Irvin, with another manga review. This is another chapter, the 5th chapter of Sachi-iro no One Room, and oh my gosh, what a chapter! So the previous chapter 4 ended suspensefully. That's what I mentioned in my review, and this one picked up suspensefully. It had kind of a build-up of a character in the middle, and then it got more intense at the end. So let me explain, generalize, for those who haven't seen my first 4 reviews of chapter by chapter of this manga. Let me summarize the story. You have a girl. She was kidnapped, and she's happy with her kidnapper. Why? Because she was abused. Now, up to this point, all you knew was that she was abused at school, and or was ignored at school, and at home, at least her father was abusing her, because in chapter 4, we realized that he at one point threw her a vase. Chapter 5 explains more of this, and I'll get to the point. So, chapter 4 ends with her being seen by 2 girls from high school, and she's wearing disguise. So chapter 5 picks up with Oni-san, the guy that kidnapped her, saying, do you have a problem with my brother? They both said, oh no, and they kind of walk off, and they say, yeah, she probably wouldn't have been that person. So that kind of fire is blown off, which makes me think the fire that started at the end of this episode will be blown off as well. After that, she kind of talks to him and tells him that she's hurting. And he explains to her, explains that's a normal hurt, that when people say bad things about you, they insult you, that's normal. So they continue on walking, and she's thinking to herself, what is happiness? And while she's thinking, what is happiness, she thinks, man, what I have now is just so much better to what I used to have. And then we see her background, and oh my gosh, horrible background. First, they introduce the friends. You have not really friends, but classmates. They kind of think that she is doing stuff on purpose. Then they show her kind of happy because she got a 98 in her exam, and she goes home, tells her mom, and guess what? Her mom says, you didn't get 100. So she basically sliced her up. At least that's what they show, a slice in her cheek. She goes back to school, and the classmates think that she's doing these scars on purpose. So while she's out, they write die already, or I believe it just says die, and everyone thinks it's funny. The class is bullying her as a whole, and then they show the teacher, and all you see is the teacher grabbing her in an inappropriate way. It's not graphic, they don't show anything, but with the picture itself, you know that there's something going on. The face he had and the face that she had, it's clearly that she is also being abused, not now just by her parents, not by her classmates only, but also now as well by her teacher. So all in this, you start hating, gosh, the people that are abusing her. Hey, Leatherwolf, thank you for joining the live feed. So yeah, you grow this hate now. People right now this season, there's a anime coming out called Magical Girl Sight, and if the bullying happening in this anime that currently is airing bothers you, because we had a podcast yesterday, and one of our guys that were in the podcast was saying that it bothered him to see, you know, this bullying in the anime. So if that bothers you from that one, this one is gonna bother you the most, even more. I did not get this manga at Barnes & Noble. I'm getting this manga online digitally. Amazon has a digital. I'm not sure if they have hard copies yet. I believe they might have hard copies, but so yeah, great manga. The chapter then ends with her concluded that happiness is momentarily. So she decides to kill herself. So they're crossing through a bridge and she jumps, literally jumps, and that's how the chapter ends. You don't know what else happens. You don't know if Oni-san jumps for her or actually catches her before she drops, but she threw herself off a bridge. And that's how the chapter ends. So 7.5 is my current rating on this one. Am I going to increase it or lower it? I think I'm going to increase it to an 8. Even though the bullying is bothering me, and just watching this, it does anger me, because bullying is, to an extent, something that should be careful, it should be cared of, and teachers shouldn't be adding to the abusement. So having parents that are abusing you physically, having kids that are abusing you verbally and physically as well, and then having a teacher abusing you sexually, this girl had the worst life. So I'm going to increase to an 8, not because I think that I enjoy reading this stuff, but the story, the plot is getting a lot better. The plot is increasing, and even though it is bothersome to sometimes read it, it's stuff that happens in the world, and I don't want to get politically in a video, but it's stuff that happens in the world, and we should acknowledge it, and we should be happy that it angers us to read this, because this is something that is happening. Maybe not every kid that says being bullied is being bullied, but to a lot of kids they are, and actually most of the kids who are actually being bullied don't speak up. So great manga so far. I am so excited to read the next chapter. I will be reviewing it tomorrow. I'm trying to review a chapter by day. I think I started with 2 chapters one day, and I decided not to do that because then I can accumulate a lot of videos, because I read a lot of these chapters at once. So taking my time on this one, and I can't wait to read the next chapter. So thank you so much for those who joined us live. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for everyone else who's supporting me. And then after you subscribe, if you want to like, share, comment, do all that stuff. Leatherwolf, it was a pleasure to have you in the chat. And like always, guys, don't be strangers.